You know, even in 2024, we still have a dilemma. A decibel dilemma. And then I'm gonna have a cool intro, and then the rest of the video will not be it. Now you're probably thinking, Lent, where's your poster board? Well, look at how cool that is. Cinnamon, shut up! Look at how cool that is. Look at my board. Isn't it so cool? Yeah, anyways, let's get into it. What is the decibel dilemma? Well, the decibel dilemma is noise pollution. You're probably wondering, what is noise pollution? Well, noise pollution refers to the excessive, disruptive, or harmful presence of sounds usually resulting from human activities that can lead to adverse health effects, including cardiovascular disease, sleep disturbances, and cognitive impairment, and also many, many other effects on animals. Those ones were kind of specific to humans. It affects animals too. You and me and them. So let's get into it. Where does it come from? Well, like I said, it does usually come from human activities, but what are those human activities? Well, there's transportation, so driving, trams, trains, hoverboards. They come from industrial activities, you know, machinery, big factories making factory goop, other industrial processes. They come from construction, which there's construction in every town. Think about it. Think of one town you've driven through where there wasn't construction. Exactly. And recreational activities like Coachella, other insignificant concerts, Comic-Con, festivals, and giant vehicle, like the recreational giant vehicle use. Like yachts, probably. And yeah, all these things are just very loud. They create a lot of noise, a lot of unnecessary noise too at that, and they do have effects on animals, because guess what? There's animals all around us, okay? There's not an area where animals are not around us. So how is it affecting the animals? Well, first, yes, it does affect us humans by, yeah, we kind of go deaf, but really, why should we worry? It's not hurting us. Well, it is hurting us because it's hurting the animals. Let me explain. Sorry, my phone died. We're picking up communication disruption. So, you know when you're in Starbucks and you're like talking to your friend, but you can't quite hear them over all the noise, and you're like, God, that is so annoying that I can't hear my friend. Okay, well, I want you to imagine you're a little fishy in the sea, and communication to you is not as complicated as ours. And you have to be really careful for what you listen for, because, you know, there's just slight differences in small noises. Anything's a hint. You know, like trying to listen for food or anything is, you know, crucial to your survival. And you can't hear your other fish. Another jot dot I had under this was disruption of feeding patterns and masking of important sounds. You can't hear if there's predator or prey nearby. You can't hear for certain signs of the time of day. And while you're probably thinking, well, that's not that bad. No, it's bad, because animals depend on their senses to survive, to communicate. And when we're masking one of their major ones, sound, that is messing a lot of stuff up for them. It really does. It is really, it is worrisome. Some other effects it has on animals is habitat disruption, which this is kind of gets into how these next two are going to get into how it affects us indirectly, but basically directly. Habitat disruption. If we're making a lot of noise by the coast and there's like a lovely little reef of, you know, fish, they're nearby, they're not going to want to stay near that loud noise. They're going to leave. They're going to leave into more dangerous situations where maybe they don't know where to find food. They don't know the predators nearby. They don't know the area. They don't know where to sleep or just sit themselves. They know nothing. So not only do we lose those fish to catch, they lose everything because we drove them out with their loud noise. There's that. There's also the physiological effects. You know how we get stressed out and we get gray hairs and we get sweaty and wrinkles? Birds will pluck their feathers till they are the meaty little sacks they were when they were born. You know, some animals will just decide to die Like straight up, they'll be like, you know what, I can't hear anything, I'm stressed out, I'm just gonna sit here till I die. They do that. They can do that, apparently. So we're ruining their lives, essentially. Let's get into an example with whales and 9/11. I'm gonna read exactly what I wrote, so I don't, add on too many details, but I don't miss anything.
A more well-known example is the reaction of whales to 9/11. We have found multiple ways of observing the mental state of whales via their calls, hormones, and their feces patterns and their behavior, and more. Studies on whales off the east coast of the USA following the events of 9/11 showed them being happier and ultimately less stressed compared to their usual sullen state observed by scientists. However, they soon returned to their sad, stressed out state. Scientists believe the noise caused by aircraft disturbed the local whale population, and when planes were prohibited from the skies after following 9/11, the whales' morale increased. Unfortunately, the return of aircraft sent whales back into depression. This event showcased the effect of noise pollution.
We made the whales sad. We caused whale depression. And now you're probably thinking, okay, but we need planes. And you know what? We need factories. And we need construction. And we need all these things you say that are causing this. So why would we get rid of them? But also, why would we keep them if we know we're hurting the animals? Okay, well, there are a couple solutions. There's urban planning, putting a little bit more awareness into what we're building. I have an example from work. We have this blender, and it's the loudest thing known to man. But what can we do to make it quieter? Well, luckily, what comes with this blender is a nice little case that sits on top of the electronic button box thing that the blender cup sits on. I'm really sorry for those descriptions. I really don't know what they're called. Basically, there's the blender, and then there's a plastic box that goes on top. This plastic box just keeps it a little quieter. Because when customers come into our restaurant, we don't want them hearing this really loud, obnoxious blender, so we keep it down. There are ways to do this in how we build by, creating noise barriers in areas that we know are very populated by animals. There are ways to just build things to not be loud. They just don't need to be loud. It's called urban planning. It is actually a very good concept, and it is, coming up more nowadays. A little bit, not a lot of it though. Noise regulations is my second point. Y'all can only be so loud. We don't need to be as loud as we are. I mean, think about it. I know at concerts we want to be the loudest and the greatest, but be so for real right now. Do we have to? No, we don't. It's hurting us too. It's hurting us too. We don't need surround sound. We need sound there, sound there, sound there, sound there. We don't need a whole circle. It's just my opinion. Anyways. Public awareness. Educating the public about it. Let's say, and I'll give you another example. Let's say we have Nancy. And she's stabbing someone, but she doesn't realize she's stabbing someone. So someone comes over and is like, hey, Nancy, did you know you're stabbing someone? Nancy is going to go, well, shoot. No, I didn't. That is unfortunate. I am so sorry, sir. Now, granted, that is stabbing, and that is a bit of an extreme example, but think about it. The person who notified Nancy about it didn't tell her to stop. Nancy stopped on her own because Nancy has some morals against hurting another person. And if there's something you'll notice nowadays is a lot more people have more empathy for animals than people. So if Nancy is willing to stop hurting another person after realizing she's hurting another person, then I believe that we can get the population to stop hurting animals after they realize that we are hurting animals with some of the ways we are existing. Granted, pollution, like all types of pollution, get kind of muted in the back of our minds. We've heard it so many times now, we just have to ignore it at this point, right? Well, at this point, that means we need to keep pushing it on people. We need to make people more aware about the fact that that is bad. We can't stab people or make too loud of a noise that is going to cause animals to leave their habitats, to not be able to survive in their habitats, and to just stress them out. It's just we can be more aware about it, and awareness is the best way to solve most problems. And of course, there's technological solutions. That's my next point. We have so much technology nowadays. I don't even want to get into specifics with it. We can figure it out how to make stuff quieter. If Tesla figured it out, so can we. that's just, I'm leaving that there. I don't want to explain how technology could fix this because we know it can. The whole problem is actually technology is being loud so we can keep it down. So that is just, I'm ending it there. And then there's green belts. Green belts are natural noise barriers. And they do exist. Various areas. We gotta look for them, but we are willing to go through that effort to make sure that we keep noise from the animals, right? Like, we're willing to just take that extra mile to put that extra step, right? I'd hope so. In summary, noise pollution is a problem, and it's a big problem to fix, but to be honest, we're the only ones who can fix it. I'm really sorry this is so late. I really hope you like my post report, though. I mean, pull it up again. That's cool. I can also do that. Okay, that's enough.